Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We have started the recording, and I wanted to thank you guys for being on here this afternoon. We'll post the recording of this meeting as well, like we always do, as soon as I can right after this meeting. The link will be posted in our Teams group, and there'll also be a link under files for our videos. I'm happy to see everybody. I want you guys to know that I've not had makeup on since this whole thing started, so you guys should be very, very honored that I thought enough of you guys to do that, because I sure haven't lately. I know that there's a lot of concern and anxiety and just a lot of probably feeling overwhelmed right now out there. And I just want you to know that hopefully we're going to be able to allay some of those fears this afternoon and talk about ways we're going to help provide more support for you all, because we know you need it. And we just have a lot of things that I know that we're still up in the air about and still concerned about. And honestly, we're at the point now where we're starting some new things. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with the PowerPoint and see if I can do this correctly. I haven't done PowerPoint I haven't done Teams for quite a while leading a group yet. So can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it, Leanne.
Okay, thanks. And you can see the one that says Lead SLP Monthly Call?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. We have been talking about going into the unknown, but now we do have a lot of known quantities. We know that we're getting to the end of the school year, whether we go back to school or not. This year, and I don't have any more inside information than you guys do. We hear it when the governor announces it. Then, you know, we know.
Can you make it bigger?
Make it bigger. Is that good?
Yes, much better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So we do know some of the things that we're facing. And one of the things that a lot of you guys are facing right now or thinking about trying to do is telepractice. We're going to be talking a lot about that this afternoon. But before we get started with that, I just wanted to show you the agenda we're going to have for this afternoon. Kelly had given me some, there were two things regarding Medicaid that I sent to you in your email yesterday, your reminder email about the meeting. And Kelly is actually on with us today. So we're going to talk about Medicaid questions first. So what I'm going to do is take my screen, stop sharing my screen for a minute, and let Kelly open her video so you guys can see her if you haven't before, and ask her any questions that you have. If you would please just put in the text, maybe in the chat box, that you have a meeting. That you have a question, then we'll have you, open your mic and open your video camera. So Kelly, if you're on here, go ahead and open yours and say something so you'll pop up to the front.
I'm here. I'm probably not going to share my video because, unlike you, I don't have makeup on today.
I completely understand.
And I don't want anybody's first experience of me to be like this.
You are absolutely fine, Kelly. You're absolutely fine.
And if you get questions, though, you'll have to tell me, because I cannot pull up the chat for some reason. It won't let me click on it. Okay.
That's okay. I'm watching it, so's Libby.
Okay. Is there anything you would like for me just to start and to talk about?
Well, if you want to go ahead and go over those two items that you sent me about the being able to bill for TCM was one of them. Okay.
So, and this mainly pertained to the teachers for the TCM. A lot of the case managers are calling weekly to their, especially their higher risk kids, and they just didn't exactly know what they could talk about. What was actually billable. So, of course, you guys too. But I know when you guys are calling, you're probably going to be calling about treatment or about services. But if you're not, if you're asking them about their food, about their medication, about home life, how things are going, that's certainly billable. I know this, you might not typically have asked those types of things, but if that's something you want to do, you can do that as long as it's not academic. And then for the signatures, when you're getting consents, and I believe this is going to be for everything, even when you're getting IEPs signed or whatever other things you guys need to do, you just need to have 2 people sign off on it to say, you would write Kelly Johnson, that you would sign my name, print my name, Kelly Johnson, verbal signature, and then sign your name and have the witness sign. So that way you guys are not far behind when we do go back to school. You're not going to have to play catch up. So you can send them the originals as well if you want to. You may never get them back, but you can send it and with a self-addressed stamped envelope to have them sign. But BMS said that was okay.
Do they need to note anywhere that it's due to the COVID-19
Sure.
pandemic that they had to get the verbal signature?
Yeah, I didn't ask that specifically, but I think that's a great idea. I mean, I think we're all, the more that you document, obviously, the better that we're going to be at the end of this. So yeah, I don't think that would hurt.
Okay. Any other questions for Kelly? Melanie has one. So Melanie, could you just go ahead and mute and show your video? You don't have to show your video if you don't want.
There I am. I don't have any makeup on, but I don't care.
We don't care either. We're glad to see your face.
The only question I had is I had sent it to you, Leanne. You had mentioned that it was okay to do that for the Medicaid consent. Is it also okay to do that for the plan of care?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have to do that. So I think anything that you guys need to have signed, we're just going to have to do that verbally. So we're just trying to make the best of it. So, go ahead and do that and just document.
Okay, it looks like Stephanie Richards has a question too. Stephanie, do you want to ask it or I'll be glad to read it?
Oh, no, I can ask it. So
Okay.
Will you accept electronic signatures on billing documents if they don't have a way to print and sign? Like a lot of our people are doing the TCM form. So if they want to go ahead and turn those in, they just type their name in?
I don't know that. I don't know. I don't think we're that they're accepting that. But if they're, so here's the one thing, and I think I sent it to Liam, maybe I didn't. I have Medicaid guidance that I sent out. I didn't even think to send it to you guys, and I'm sorry. I sent it to the directors and to the Medicaid specialists. So I'm not nearly as concerned right now about you guys printing or doing any of that stuff for your billing. Now, if your county is hounding you, that's different. But we have an entire year to bill. So you have 1 year from the date of service to get the billing into the Medicaid payment system. So if that's something that, causes a problem, don't even worry about it. But if you can print it and sign it yourself, that's fine. But I will have to get back with you on that because I do not know about electronic signature. I don't think so.
We haven't required it being turned in right now, but if we go and we're out for the end of the, till the end of the year, just to kind of finalize things. So thank you.
But just be sure that you document it currently so that you have your documentations current. You can't wait to do that later because you only have how many days, Kelly? 30 days?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Sure. Any other questions for Kelly? Well, Kelly, I'm not hearing or seeing anything, so we really appreciate you being on the call with us. I miss being in the office with Kelly, but this is the next best thing, I guess. So yeah. Thank you for being on with us. And if we do get any more questions, we'll be sure to forward them to you. Okay.
Absolutely. Or you can just text me and I'll hop back on. No problem.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Okay, and just for 1 second before we go any further too, I'd like Libby to go ahead and open her camera and her mic for just a second. And say something, Libby, so your picture will come to the front. Maybe she's not wanting to, but anyway, I just want to thank Libby for all the work she's been doing behind the scenes for us. And she has been working on some projects for us I think you guys are really going to like. So anyway, I just want to thank her before we got back to the PowerPoint. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. And the next thing we're going to talk about is the ASHA Town Hall. I sent you some of the information yesterday, and this is just a summary of the information that I sent. I know that everybody, because I used to do the same thing, everybody thinks that ASHA has the final say in everything that we do, but they really don't. I'm on the State Education Agency Communication Disabilities Council, and I'm going to share the website with you in just a second. And on that council, we have other people who have the same job I do within their states. And some of those people include like Marie Ireland, who is the vice president of, I think, school affairs or school something with ASHA. We have Perry Flynn, who's an ASHA fellow. We have Verna Tenon, who just received a big award at ASHA this November. And a lot of our state coordinators are on ASHA teams and ASHA boards. And they always have the presidential team come and talk with us each year at ASHA. And when they do that, some of the new state coordinators were asking about what if we don't do something that ASHA had said that we should do within our state. And the president just stopped and smiled. And she said, well, ASHA really has no authority over what happens within states in the education world. So with private practice, they definitely do. And that's one of the things that happened with this ASHA Town Hall. They didn't have a state, any school representation at all on the panel. And it was all private practice related. So with that, it means that they hadn't researched to see that HIPAA and FERPA information was accurate. The information they provided was inaccurate. And they didn't have the letter from OCR that said that, the HIPAA and FERPA regulations had been loosened. So I think a lot of people saw that and got confused and thought, oh my goodness, we can't do telepractice now. Another thing that they mentioned that really caused a lot of concern and a lot of anxiety was the fact that they wanted that people should be trained prior to offering teletherapy. And as I wrote in the email yesterday, the only place that I know that you can be trained to be a teleservice provider is at the main hospital. Now, WVU has a person on staff now who's actually one of RIA's employees who's training therapists who are coming out of WVU about telepractice. They're getting to observe sessions and that kind of thing. But that's not the type of training that you have to have prior to offering it. Maria is going to talk more about that in just a minute, how she trains her staff and that kind of thing. So, I want you to know that you're not violating ethical considerations with ASHA if you don't have a lot of experience doing telepractice or if you don't have any. We're going to be providing training for you and support for you, and you're going to practice. Your experience is going to come with the practice that you do. So we'll talk about that more a little bit later. They only link to ASHA links. They didn't link to any of the other resources that are out there right now. And so with that, let me see, I think I'm stuck here.
Leanne, I was
Yeah.
clicking on the wrong thing. I'm here. I'm present.
Okay.
I was trying to unmute myself in the wrong category, so sorry, but I am here present, and yes, I exist.
Okay. Well, I just want everybody to see you, and I was telling them what, all the work you've been doing behind the scenes to help make their jobs easier
Oh.
and get things organized for them, and how much we appreciate you. So,
Oh,
and
I know
also,
that's what you were going to say. I would have not gotten on.
well, but I also wanted to see that you have makeup on too. So
I do, and this is the first time this week. Yay! I did my hair.
I know. So we wanted them to see that too. So
You didn't tell them that you went to the beach.
well, the beach is really pretty cool because it's right at my mom's house. So that's where I'm being quarantined for this thing here at my mom's house. So anyway, yeah, that's where I am at the beach. We can only hope. But I want to show you one of the resources that we have through this state education agency coordinators group. And it should be coming up on your screen now, I hope. They're just all types of letters, resources, webinars, and information on each state. If you're not seeing it on your screen because of my ineptitude here with the teams, then it is linked on the PowerPoint. So let's go ahead and share again. Share the PowerPoint. So I just want, here's the link for that website. So I just wanted you guys to realize that, everything that they said that night was not actually true. And when it comes down to it, I have my C's. I have my licensure with the Board of Examiners in West Virginia. I try to do everything that we do, try to follow ASHA and the licensure board as closely as I possibly can. But when it comes down to it, the State Department of Education overrules ASHA as far as who has authority. The federal government definitely overrules us, the State Department, and the State Department has, authority where ASHA does not. We try to follow guidelines as closely as possible, but I know that people think that their C's might be in jeopardy, they might be taken away from them, that kind of thing, and that's just not the case. What I wanted to show you too was this is the meeting minutes that we had from our group. I didn't put the whole meeting minutes on there because there was a lot of information that you guys wouldn't be interested in. Plus, it wasn't appropriate for you guys to see it. But our meeting on Wednesday, these are the things that people said were wrong with that town hall meeting. And Perry Flynn had already drafted a letter to Jamiko, who is the person who led the panel. The presidential team will come to meet with them in the summer we'll meet with them in the summer, and they're going to talk about these issues. But I want you to realize that one of them said many SLPs take ASHA as the final word, and it could have added to people's anxiety. And I hope it hasn't, but I'm sure it did. So anything that I can do to make your SLPs understand that ASHA, we try to follow ASHA as strictly as possible, and if you're working in private practice, that definitely would be what you would have to do. But here in the education system, we don't have to follow everything that they mandate through their ethical guidance. It's not that they mandate anything, it's all guidance. And that's what the presidential team told us. They provide guidance for best practice. So I just wanted you to know that. And just realize that there are a lot of resources out there for you to go and see. But this really caused a lot of concern. Another thing that they mentioned that was really unfortunate was that the parent demand was going to dictate what happened with compensatory services. And if you look at the CDAC website later on, if you have time, it has each state listed and whether or not they're going to have to offer compensatory services. For West Virginia, it says we will not. And the reason it's saying we will not is because we've been trying to offer some service all along. There are some states, for instance, Virginia, who considered a school closure, and they felt like they didn't have to provide not only FAPE, but any education during that time. So there are some states that are going to have to go back and actually do some compensatory. we've been talking about the fact that what we're going to have to provide in this state is not compensatory. Susan Beck, our special education director, is trying to come up with a better term, because compensatory sounds as if you didn't do something you should have done. Well, we're doing things. We're not providing FAPE right now because we can't meet these IEPs, but we are providing services through the distance learning plan. And I know the distance learning plans made it into counties this week, and I know that caused an uproar as well. But the one thing that I will say about that is, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. The one thing I'll say about that is it's going to put all your documentation in one location. You know, I was talking to several friends of mine who were upset when the distance learning plan came out, and I told them, instead of having to go to a class dojo to see where you've had documentation, or go to Schoology, or to go to another notebook that you have documentation calls in, and one that you have your therapy notes in, and that kind of thing, and materials that you've sent, you'll have it all in one location. And it's going to be very valuable when it comes time to have IEPs, when we go back to the brick and mortar building and start thinking about what we need to do to start implementing the IEPs again. Some people are getting, confused, thinking they have to offer minute by minute, session by session, what's listed on the IEP. What you're going to offer is what's listed on that distance learning plan, because IEPs are not being offered at this time. So, as you move forward, just realize that your special ed director is the one who has created those distance learning plans for your county. They're the ones you need to ask questions about for those distance learning plans. And they have tried to devise the ones that they think are appropriate for you all. So I just wanted to mention that as well, knowing that, when it comes to time to have an IEP meeting or something with parents to determine if you need to provide any service to get the students back to where they were before the pandemic and making progress, then that distance learning plan is going to be your support and your guide as to how much you have to offer, plus your documentation that you've been keeping. So the main focus is to try to just provide some service to the student, do what's in the best interest of the student, and keep your documentation so you'll know what you need to do later on. So I'm going to share my screen again, and let's see, we're going to move on to licensure. And I've been in contact with the Board of Examiners, and we're trying to get everything straightened out as to whether we have to have licensure through them to be able to do telepractice only. So I haven't mentioned that to any of you all yet, because, I know you have enough going on. There's enough anxiety out there, but we're working with it and working with the board, in cooperation with the board. And as we get the details straightened out, I'll let you know about that. I can tell you that if we do have to have it, there will not be a fee involved. So just know that. And we have until June 30th to apply. So we've got time to make sure we have everything straightened out, to make sure we have, everything that we need to do that, if it comes down to the fact that we do. So just know it's okay to be, you've already started off during telepractice. It's fine, because you just have to apply with them by June 30th if that's something that, after we've gotten everything said and done and all the, agreements made, that's what we have to do. So I just wanted to mention that to you, because I didn't want to hide it from you, making you think that, I was trying to hide from you the fact that there might be a chance that we have to do that. But don't worry about it right now, because we'll get it, we get the details straightened out. I'll be sure and let you know. Okay. Thankfully, we have Rhea Dyer in our state, and Rhea and Libby have been working the last couple of days after I contacted Rhea and just said, could you help us with some training for telepractice? Because, I can imagine what it feels like to think that you're going to have to offer some telepractice services now. I know that the students that I had before I left Kanawha County were all students with autism who were on AAC devices and with a lot of behavior issues. And if I thought I was going to have to provide teleservice to those students, I would be very concerned. But just remember, telepractice is going to be just like anything else, the 3-to-1 model, anything else that we do. It's going to be something that it may not be appropriate for all students. And if that's the case, you're going to document that, after you talk with the parent or however your special ed director is having you get your distance learning plan or remote learning plan filled out. Just make sure you document what you're offering for that student, because like I said, it's not going to be appropriate for everyone at all. But thanks to Libby and Rhea, I think we have a really good support system ready for you. And Rhea has been amazing in sharing resources and all kinds of things with us. And I know she's already been doing that in some counties individually. So we're going to take it a little bigger than that now. And I'm going to turn the screen over to Rhea and let her I'm going to take my camera off and let Rhea take over the meeting for us for a while.
Hello. I will use every excuse not to fix my hair and put makeup on. So what you see is what you get, always with me.
You look beautiful.
So as Leanne mentioned, she and Libby and I were sort of brainstorming a little bit as I've been asked or had chats with lots of you about, doing some trainings, or I've already provided some trainings, or just help you guys get things organized or find resources, etc. And we were trying to figure out the best way to offer continued help and assistance for these types of things. So we came up with a plan today, and I want to share that with you. So I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully, can you all see this chart that I'm sharing? Hopefully, yes.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay. So I wanted to try and organize this visually a little bit for you. To kind of show you where we're going to be putting things and where we're going to be, doing things in the future. So what we've done, Leanne has created a Microsoft Teams group that's called the Telepractice Training and Support Group Team. And this is going to be a place where all therapists in the state, not just the leads or, key people, but any therapist in the state who wants to join, is looking for resources and things. We thought this might be a great way to have a resources hub, because when we're creating individual.
Rhea, can you make it bigger? There's a request. They can't quite see it. Can you do a full screen or something?
Yeah, hold on. Everyone who knows me knows I'm better at Zoom than I am Teams, doing things quickly.
And Rhea wanted to do Zoom. I just had to do Teams quickly because I needed it yesterday. Sorry.
I'm just not quite as quickly Teams savvy. Is that bigger?
It's a little bigger, but it's hard to read. So you just might have to say what's in the squares and stuff.
Okay.
This is on your email. If you just put your finger on it and open it that way, like zoom it open, you can read the individual things.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Well, I think you guys can see my mouse kind of hovering over things, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the kind of over what we thought might be best, instead of kind of recreating resources within these individual county teams and then not having the opportunity to share a lot of those resources with other therapists from other counties, we thought the best way to get lots of resources to as many people as possible would be to create a mega team, the Telepractice Training and Support Group Team. Within that team, like I said, this will be open to everybody. There's going to be several main components to that team. So one, we're going to develop some specific channels within that team for some areas where you can really tell that we're going to need some really specific guidance, maybe in the areas of AAC and pre-K and autism spectrum disorders. And we may create more as we go, but we know those areas we're probably going to need some specific guidance. And within those channels, Leanne and Libby are going to ask maybe some guest experts to come and share some resources, some thoughts, some very specific resources for those populations, and then a way in the team's posting section for therapists to collaborate there specific to those issues. Okay, and we'll go over a lot of this later. I just want to kind of give you guys the basics of this thought process. Then we're going to also have a resource notebook. So this will be a place where we post therapy resources. There'll be guidance for specific platforms. And this is also a place where therapists can share resources. So this is kind of a one-stop shop for resources. So we don't have to recreate some of these same folders and some of these same resources across, 55 county teams sites. So a way for everyone to be able to collaborate together. Also, when we have meeting videos, we'll have a place where all those videos will be posted, meeting videos and any other video resources that they want to be shared. And then we're also going to do a weekly session called telepracticing. And we're going to do that every Friday at 11 a.m. And we're going to spend a half hour together for anyone that wants to join, any therapist that wants to join. It's not just the leads, any therapist that wants the help. It's going to be formatted in about a half-hour session. We're going to go over a telepractice tip of the week, something basic to doing telepractice or something general or related to a platform. We're going to demonstrate and introduce 3 specific resources every week. And then we're going to reserve a little bit of time at the end for a question and answer session. So we want to be able to kind of show you some resources, some common resources, and show you what those look like, demonstrate them, give you some therapy ideas, and then obviously answer any questions that we might have. And then we thought that the best use for the county-based teams would be county-specific forms at various counties, distance learning plans, any permissions or things like that are very county-specific guidance, if there's specific places we're supposed to put things, etc. And then if those counties are having meetings, then they could put their meeting notes and question and answer there. Obviously, this is just kind of a guidance document. Doesn't have to be done this way. Of course, you guys are welcome to do whatever you want, your individual teams. We were just thinking of a good way to get a really solid set of information out to everybody. A really solid way to get, everybody developed into, one place where we could share resources and a place where might transition into a continued opportunity for resources. So we talked about that, if nothing else comes of this, pandemic, other than the silver lining of it forced all of us to be a little bit more virtually collaborative, then I guess we could take that as a positive, right? We were forced to learn how to collaborate in a little bit better way. So that's that's kind of the plan. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts about that piece or offering that as some demos? All right. I also want to just share a little bit of a pep talk with you all. I realize that, there's really very few things that we can find comforting in this situation. I've come up with 2 basic comforts. The comfort in knowing you're still employed. I'm sure you all have friends that, aren't working or have lost jobs or are furloughed. And that's very scary for people, and especially with the open-endedness of this situation, it's really, really unnerving, to not have a job and not know when you're going to be able to return to your job. So I think that's comforting. It should be comforting to you all, knowing that you still have a job, and comfort in knowing that you can do your best to serve your kids. That should be comforting. I know the kids that we're able to connect with and the kids that we're able to see, they're so excited to see our faces. They're so excited to have that little bit of normal back in their lives, seeing a familiar face, doing a little activity, whatever it may be. So I realize that, it's not comfortable to be locked in your house. It's not comfortable to wear face masks everywhere that you go. We can find lots of things that aren't comfortable about this, but if we can find the little things that keep us going. So I shared this little to-do list for the day: count your blessings, practice kindness, let go of what we can't control. That's a really tough one right now. Listen to your heart, be productive yet calm, and just breathe. I realize that it's a little bit easier for somebody like me who, already knows a lot about telepractice to just kind of transition my knowledge to learning how to do this at home, versus somebody who really has no experience in this area. But I think Leanne is really looking out for all of us in trying to help get us as comfortable and familiar as we can be. So hopefully you guys find a little bit of comfort in knowing you have somebody looking out for you and helping you along and putting some things together that can assist. All right, Leanne, I think that's all you wanted me to go over for right now, right?
I think so. Thank you so much, Rhea. And Rhea, go ahead.
And just that we're doing a training on Tuesday, and I'm sure Leanne's going to put out probably some guidance about that. I'll just let her talk about that since that's a bigger training.
Well, if you want to go ahead and describe how that training is going to go too, that's fine. I've already sent the notice about it to special ed directors. It has to go to them first, and I'm waiting for our assistant director to approve that. If she hasn't approved it by about 2 o'clock, I'm going to go ahead and send it to you guys, just so you can know how to, that there's no registration for it, that kind of thing. The link to join it will be on there, and it's for anyone. I know I've had questions from people saying, but what if we're not planning to do telepractice? Is it okay if we join anyway? And absolutely, because I think you guys are going to realize pretty quickly that this is going to be one of the tools you have to have in your toolbox from now on. I mean, I think that with extended school year, I've heard some schools are thinking about doing it through telepractice. I know that Superintendent Birch has asked us to have emergency plans in mind. So if this, if the COVID-19 comes back maybe in the fall and we have to close again, we already have a place to go. So I think knowing how to do telepractice, knowing where the resources are, and having some experience doing it so you feel comfortable is going to be very important to everyone. So Rhea, you can go ahead and describe to him what you're going to do and that kind of thing. And then we'll move on.
Yeah. So on Tuesday, I think we decided 1 o'clock. On Tuesday
I think it's 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. On
Yep.
Tuesday at 2 o'clock, we're going to do an overview of telepractice training. So these are telepractice basics, things that you need to consider, you need to be aware of, providing a little visual reference point for you all to be able to come back to later to understand how to do certain things or how to access certain things via telepractice. And then a little bit about, in general, structuring a telepractice session and kind of getting you guys over the hump if you've never done telepractice and you're going to be starting, kind of where to begin. And that's going to be also offered for everyone. So it's not just leads. Like Leanne said, it's going out through special ed directors first, and then hopefully it'll get out to all of the individual therapists. So anyone and everyone is welcome to join for doing that. And as leads, if you guys are initiating telepractice in your counties, then you can invite all of your therapists to come. So that'll be kind of the big training, and we'll also obviously be posting that training and that PowerPoint in the telepractice training and support group team in Microsoft Teams. And then we're going to do the weekly Fridays, the telepracticing, which is just going to be the little half-hour sessions where, like I said, we just demo resources, go over some quick tips, just a way to keep everybody engaged and continuing to enhance their abilities.
So Rhea, we cannot thank you enough for being willing to help us with all this. As soon as I heard telepractice, I immediately thought of you, of course, and I really appreciate your willingness to help support everyone. So thank you so much. And everybody else is thanking you in the chat box as well. So any other questions about the telepractice? I do want you guys to know too, I know at this time, because people are out of their comfort zone and they're having to do things they've never had to do before, and they're already tired because they've had to learn how to do Teams, or they've had to learn how to do Zoom or Schoology or something to be able to do their conferencing. Everybody feels overwhelmed already. So with this, there's no real reason to feel overwhelmed because you're going to have tons of support, and we couldn't ask for better support than Rhea. So also, though, I think people are thinking this is all the doing of their special ed directors and that they're being punished or that they're being taken advantage of, that other disciplines aren't having to do everything that the SLPs are doing. But you know what? If you really stop and think about it, during the school year when there's brick and mortar school, you can go into classrooms and think that teacher's not doing as much. This teacher doesn't do her progress notes. This teacher's late with their IEPs, all those kinds of things. That's always going to happen. We're just in a different venue now. So our goal always is to provide the best services we can possible to students. And I'll just ask you to continue to do that. And while you may not feel that you're an expert at telepractice, you're providing something to that student that they're not getting without you. And they need you now. And just know that to do the best you can. And like Rhea said, let the rest of it go. You can't control the rest of it. But don't think that it's just your special ed director. This is happening not only in your county, but across the state. And not only in our state, but across the country. So it's not just us. It's everybody. Everybody's in the same boat. And while misery doesn't always love company, I just want you to know it's not just us. So anyway, I'm going to share my screen one more time.
You have a question about Medicaid from Rhonda Davis.
Okay. Confidentiality and having a witness to the parent consent on the Medicaid permission forms. If it's someone who's related to the school, you're not going to have them with you. That's true. I think as long as all they hear, and I'll ask Kelly to be sure, but as long as all that person hears, like let's say it's your husband, or you can invite someone else to be on the, you could do a conference call, or you could do a quick video chat with them. So you invite someone else who's on that child's team to be the witness. You should be fine. If it's your husband, just have him witness that the parent says, I agree for you to, provide written consent in my name. That's all they have to hear. And they wouldn't even have to hear the person's name. The parent's name, they just would have to hear that they gave permission, and the date. I would date and time it, and date and put the time that they witnessed it on there too, just to cover yourself. But I'll ask Kelly to be sure. As a matter of fact, I'll text her in just a second and have her get back on with us so she can answer. Let's see. Now, just questions that you guys have. And all you have to do is put a question mark in the chat box, and we'll call on you and have you open your mic. Okay, Leslie.
Hello.
Hi, Leslie.
How are you? Sounds
Great.
good. Good. I have a couple of questions.
All right.
The first one, in regards to what Rhonda was asking in terms of the confidentiality with somebody witnessing, all of our IEP meetings are done with the principal or assistant principal for the chairperson.
Okay.
So is that would be acceptable as our witness, correct? Because they're
Absolutely.
all videos. Okay.
Absolutely. There's no confidentiality issue with that because they're a part of the team, a part of the school. They would be there if the parent was there in person. It's somebody, like if you are not doing them with anyone else online, and you're just doing it through a phone call or something like that, because the parent, that's all the parent could only way the parent can participate, then, you know, we might have to worry about confidentiality. But I think you're absolutely fine the way you said it.
All right. And then my next question is probably like really far off out in left field in regards to AAC.
Okay.
We have a student who 6 years old, completely nonverbal, very minimal eye contact. I suspect some CVI involvement, so we're working on potential vision and hoping maybe she can get to a vision clinic. There's not a lot of family support, and they're not dependable per se most of the time with getting the child to appointments and things of that nature. She does attend school, but right now her curriculum is only half-day based. She's missed 36 days out of the school year on that half day up until March 13th when we dismissed. We're having a really difficult time being able to do and consider an AAC evaluation because of the tremendous amount of trials that we will have to do and her inconsistency with attendance for us to see if one thing is going to work better than the other. She is up for reevaluation next year, and we've been trying to think of a creative way, and I'm just curious if it would be acceptable to potentially stay out of the evaluation timeline per se, if we could make it a functional academic goal in terms of functional living tasks, where the classroom teacher would also be involved, and we could use some different types of technology to see if it works, but not necessarily be in the timeline constraints for evaluation.
Okay, so you're talking about when you get back to the brick and mortar school, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. So when you get back to the brick and mortar school, you already have started the evaluation process, right?
We have not.
You have not. Okay. So if you haven't started the process at all, I think I personally would gather the information by having the teacher do that kind of thing for a couple of weeks before you start the referral.
Okay.
But I would definitely do a full evaluation on that student, including like a communication matrix or some
Right.
sort of other evaluations, because that's going to tell you what she actually can and can't do. What's going to happen is if you're just trying things with the teachers trying things that you have available that you think might be appropriate for her, she might be higher than that, she might be lower than that. So to say that you're going to just do that as a goal to do the evaluation so you don't have to worry about the 80-day timelines, I personally wouldn't do that. I would gather some information the first couple of weeks, you know, try her with some things, take the data, get some really good data in the classroom, but then start that evaluation process. If you don't get the evaluation process completed because you can't find something that's really working for her, you can always do an extended trial in a goal. But that way you've done the evaluation, you know where she's functioning with language receptively.
Okay. Because they
Makes
were
sense?
asking, could we do it, and I may have said it the wrong way, could we do it as a functional living goal instead of a speech goal?
Because you
Attempt
want the teacher to gather the data. Mm-hmm. Sure, that's fine. I mean, if the teacher's going to gather the data for you, that's absolutely fine. You know, just say, you know, just given access to the whatever, you know, low tech augmented communication options or whatever, that
Okay.
the student will do whatever the goal is, but then make sure that you're gathering that data from the teacher to use for your SLP report, your AAC report.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Okay, Jill Bumgarner. She says she might be overthinking this. Jill, do you want to read it? I mean, do you want to talk or do you just want me to read it for you? I'll go ahead and read it for you then. Oh, she said I have a sleeping baby. Okay, that's all right. She says, I might be overthinking this, but I'm currently working on IEP renewals with students whose distance learning plan is now teletherapy. How do you recommend doing the IEP as far as services and placement section? Your distance learning plan is completely separate from your IEP. Number one, I would contact your director and ask her how she wants that delineated, because while you're going ahead and doing IEP reviews right now, it's not anything that you're doing as a part of your distance learning plan. That's the whole reason for having to have the distance learning plan, because nobody right now is offering IEP services, no matter what you're doing. You know, I know a lot of people have thought, well, I sent packets home. I sent packets home. I've done all this stuff. I've contacted the parent. I've talked to them and everything. But you have to know that that's not providing services with the IEP. If you stop and think about it, in the summer when school's out, some of you might send, packets home for the summer. You're sending homework home. You're sending things for the parent to continue to practice with. You are not providing service all summer by sending that packet home. So because we don't have the opportunity to provide FAPE right now, because we're not in the brick and mortar building, the only services you're providing are in that DLP. So that's the reason we had to write them, because we're not touching that IEP right now. That's the reason what you do right now doesn't have to be according to the IEP. It doesn't have to follow minute by minute, and it does not have to follow session by session. So she says, as far as placement and services, so, I would think personally that you would keep your IEP as is, or, what you plan to do when you return to the brick and mortar building, but I would not include telepractice in that IEP right now. But to be safe, like I said, all of this is falling down to local control with the special education directors. And honestly, we have been trying to listen to things from Office of Special Ed Programs, and we provided guidance to the special ed directors based on that. That's all the guidance they've been given from us. That's the reason you guys haven't been given, when this all first happened, I wanted to get an email ready and send you guys, all kinds of information, and I wasn't allowed to because it's local control. So the special ed directors are deciding what happens within their counties, and they're trying to do it based on guidance provided from us and from the Office of Special Ed Programs. So your director might, with your IEP meetings, I would think that she's telling everyone this is, how you're going to write your IEPs for right now, because you're not in the brick and mortar building. You're going to keep them basically the same, because honestly, I think in most cases, not all, because some parents are going to say, I'm good with everything and we don't need to do it. But in most cases in the fall, we're going to have to do some IEP reviews to talk about what we need to do now that we're ready to start providing FAPE again, and what we need to do to get the child back up to where they were before the pandemic. So let me read the rest of the question. Do I just continue writing the IEP as if brick and mortar, and the DLP covers, the temporary period of telepractice? I honestly think that is the case, but please double check with your special ed director. And don't worry, I'm glad you have time. I'm glad you put your question in that way. That's absolutely fine. And you said you just wanted to make sure. Okay, that's great. Okay, Rita. Checking to see if Rita, do you want to talk, or do you want to, I can just read your question.
Yeah, I can take this one.
Okay, great.
So the question is just checking to see if the free Zoom app continues to be an acceptable platform for telepractice with the things we've seen about privacy, hacking into sessions, etc. Yes, according to all available information at this point, which involves the lessened or loosened restrictions for HIPAA and FERPA, the free version of the Zoom app does continue to be an acceptable platform. Zoom has released several back-to-back updates in the past 10 days that enhances and tightens up a lot of that security and hacking privacy issues that some of the things they had uncovered when basically the entire world started using Zoom in 1 week. So they have really tightened a lot of those features up. And if you go to the main Zoom website, they have guidance documents on what exactly they've done. So,
thank you.
And then the question from Angela, Jackson County has been advised not to use Zoom. I was going to ask if there's an alternative being advised instead. I don't think there's an official alternative being advised right now. Everyone's sort of, taking their own, or doing their own thing. I know that some people are using Zoom. Some people are trying to use Teams. Some people are using, I think it's Google Chat or Google Meets. Some people are using a program called, I think it's Ring Central. So I've heard of 3 or 4. I will tell you that before all of this happened, Zoom is the platform that was built most in conjunction with healthcare. So Zoom has always had a HIPAA compliant version. Zoom has always had a version for telemedicine, which is why we've always used Zoom, because it did have that HIPAA compliance piece of it, where Microsoft Teams and some of those others do not have a HIPAA compliant version right now. So, just kind of something to think about. I think Zoom's gotten a little bit of a bad rap here, just because of these little odds and ends that are coming out, but it looks like they've really done a lot to tighten up any inconsistencies that they had. So
thanks so much, Rhea. And Angela, I would just add on to that by saying Jackson County advised you not to use Zoom. I would ask what platform they do recommend. Teams, which is free, to every educator in the state, you already have an account, whether you use it or not, is HIPAA and FERPA compliant. But I would definitely talk to your special ed director. She's the one who needs to help make the determination. That's not something we can really tell you to do. So please consult your director. Okay, Rhea, thank you for answering that. Let's see. And one thing to remember too, when you're thinking about the security of it, the OCR letter that I sent you guys a copy of or a link to said that they've even approved for you to do FaceTime and that kind of thing. If you think about it, when you do FaceTime, you don't have an ID number to get in. You don't have a separate room and that kind of thing, but you can with Zoom. So, just remember that Office of Civil Rights is the one who waived the HIPAA FERPA compliance for the platforms. That's because they want children to receive services. They lifted those compliance because they want people to have access to be able to provide something to these students right now, without a lot of companies having to jump in, and a lot of school systems having to jump in and purchase platforms. So just keep that in mind too, that any questions you have about a platform that you think you want to use, please be sure and consult your special education director. They're the ones who can send you the right way. And if they have questions, they can contact me and I'll be glad to help. That needs to come through them. Kim Porter has a question. Kim, I'm going to open your mic.
Okay. Mine is, when and how do we join the telepractice teams group?
Actually, I found out about that just a little bit ago, and it's going out in the email that I'm sending. And I'm also going to give it to Rhea to include in one of her slides at that training on Tuesday. There's a code that you have to use to join, and the directions are listed right there. It's very simple. You just open your Teams app and then click on Teams, and then up in the upper right corner, there's a thing that says Join Teams. Join a team, and then the options come up, and there's a second, I think it's the second one, says join a team using a code, and you just join it using that code, and anybody who has that code can join.
Okay.
Really
so
simple.
We don't have to do it before Tuesday's meeting.
No. That training that you're going to go to Tuesday, as long as you click on that link, you're in.
Okay.
Okay.
And then who sets up the county one? Someone from the county?
The county what? Like your resources Rhea talked about?
Yeah, Rhea showed the county one underneath.
Yeah, it would be someone from your county. Like I know Melanie Place set one up for Berkeley County, and I think there are a couple of other counties. Beckley, I think, Raleigh's having training next week, and some others, and they'll set up their own. So if you need some help with that, if you want to contact Libby, I think she can. Libby, can you help with that?
Sure can. Be happy
Okay.
to. Contact
Okay.
me.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Mhm.
welcome. Anybody else? Well, I don't see any. You can come on in. I don't see any other questions right now, so we're going to go ahead and close the meeting. But one thing I wanted to mention to you guys too is that sometimes when you're having to go to your speech language pathologist within your county with so many new things, and they're getting overwhelmed, and sometimes they get upset about it. Please know it's not against you personally. It's not. They're just as overwhelmed as you guys are. And if you ever need me to be on a Zoom call or a Teams call with them, sometimes just hearing it from somebody else lets them know it's not just you, or it's not just your special ed director who's saying it. This is a nationwide thing that's going on right now. So, if you need me to do that, I'll be happy to help in any way I can. I'm very excited about what we have going on with RIA and with everybody, with all the things we have going now. And I'm so excited that you guys are sharing things with each other too. You're using our Teams group to share with each other. So I showed you guys this last time, and I want to show it to you one more time. There are bigger things going on in this world right now than having an opera tele practice for the first time. So, just remember, it's not, there are other things going on, but that's also the reason we feel anxious, because there are other things going on. But now you're going to have support. You're going to have help when you need it. You have, you don't have to wait till the weekly call. Maria is going to share her staff's phone numbers with you guys, so you can contact them anytime. I mean, I can't imagine that you're going to have any more support than that you're not going to have all the support you need with this. So please take care of yourselves and stay safe. And I did want to ask one more question. In some cases, there are teams that are meeting every week. Do you guys think it would be helpful for you guys if we met every week and just met for half an hour? Would that be more helpful? Or would you guys want to just keep it every other week like we have it now? If you can just put it in the chat what you'd like, we'll get an idea of what everybody thinks. Okay, well, I'm not seeing anything going in the chat. Let's see, every other week. Looks like it's fine with everybody right now, and especially hopefully since we're doing that weekly guidance with the telepractice. So yeah, we probably would go over 30 minutes. Yeah, I'm sure you're right. So every other week is good. And if you need anything in the meantime, you know where I am. You guys have a great weekend and get some rest. Okay, bye-bye.